Hello everyone, and good morning, afternoon, or evening. Today we'll be on the Nice Guys subreddit reading a couple stories for you guys. Please remember, if you enjoyed this video, to like and subscribe. It really does help a lot, and comment what you'd want me to do next. Without further ado, let's get into the first story. The title of the first story says, quote, "The hottest girls tended to always go for guys I'd make fun of," end quote. Things I learned going out with 50 plus girls in the last 2 years. 1. Some girls like being single. I meet some girls who I either go out with, try to go out with, and when they end it fast, I feel bummed. Almost 100% of them I keep on Instagram, and, well, I think almost all of them are still single. Obviously, some do visible dates, but there's no hard launching or real relationships. People need to remember that because when someone attracted spends like 5+ years single, they aren't looking that hard or are a total basket case of a human. 2. Looks and money don't matter much. I'm a touch under 6 foot, pretty muscular, have some degree of fame, make good money, have the best hair in the world, and am told almost daily I look like John Stamos. I've had almost every girl I was ever into bail on me to be with a heavy-set balding dude or a ghetto poser that works in retail. Never got rejected for a dude in a Lamborghini, never got rejected for a ripped gym dude, never got rejected for a pretty boy. The hottest girls tended to always go with guys I'd likely make fun of. 2 theories on this. First is girls like ugly guys, because they want power on not being cheated on. 2, they generally like personalities. 3, ride the train wreck, but don't date it. The last 4 months I was dating a 23-year-old former stripper with twin daughters and have dated her on and off for 3 years. I buy her everything she wants, I pay for her gifts for the gifts on the holidays, I take her on trips and to nice places. She cheated on me with a ghetto wannabe rapper who was so broke when she went to Miami with him, she called me saying her a car got towed and asked me for money to bail it out, saying it was on her car. Ended up crashing with me because he wanted to smoke pot all day and all they did was stay in a ghetto area an hour from the beach. And she still went back with him. Now, she begs me for food money once a week to Uber her stuff, lives with him on and off, lost custody of her twins, and is a train wreck. She's a smoke show, and in my own weird, twisted way, I love her. Hell, I even forgive the cheating, because we were open, and she brought her hot friends over to me. That said, I tolerated her leaving me for a rich dude, an athlete, or an actual rapper, not a broke guy who couldn't pay for Gatorade and is clearly on substance. 4. Dinner is a bad date idea. This is a big one. I went to a nice dinner with a girl, and I got left with a kiss on the cheek at the end. A month later, I had an extra concert ticket for Dua Lipa. Invited her, and by the end of the night, she's in love with me. Making out with me during the show, slept over later, messages me often saying I'm funny, handsome, and kind. Of course, she lives now on the opposite side of the world, and it'll never work, but hey, dates need to be an experience I won't forget, or it's just a generic thing. 5. They are talking to like half a dozen other guys. If they're met on a dating app, and it's a highly populated city, they've got 3 dates that week minimum. And there's a dozen dudes that are spending $300 on them each. Key to this, talk more also. No, these girls are putting them in a portfolio, probably just want a free dinner, and that's it. I did 13 days of dates in a row with 16 different women, and had a lot of fun. Slept with the third of them, made good friends with 2, and dated 1 for a month. Reality is, going on dates for the moment beats the fantasy this is a wife. Final thoughts, just have fun. The story is giving off I treat women as objects. He's always said that giving them nicer things will keep them, but you can't buy someone, you can't buy anybody, and he keeps talking like he's going to get all the girls in the world when that just isn't true. There's a good chance that the person who wrote this is definitely making up stories, but it's okay, I have fun nonetheless. Now let's get into the second story. This one is titled, "Why Can't You Interrogate Me and Talk to My Parents to Prove I'm a Good Man? Blank, next year can we please restart and just be friends? I know what happened now, when you told me I feel like I haven't been being honest with you. It hurt my feelings, so I didn't ease around you. I like you because you're an INTP. You are in my major. You have seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, and you're a shy introvert like me. Can we go to the blank, get food together one last time? My social skills are better now. I'm just a super smart, socially aloof nerd. I forgive you. Since I have Asperger's, I have to learn all the social rules you probably already know. I'm like a super advanced computer program that gets flagged for malware when I'm really brilliant self-employed entrepreneur who wants a lady friend. Also, I'm INTJ. Research my personality. It's a really rare that I like someone on a mental level. Oh, also, I won't ever report you again. That was a stupid idea. Also, my uncle is a lawyer. Standing outside was a really dumb idea. This is harassment and stalking. I'm reporting you to the police and getting restraining order. Okay, sorry, I'm just an idiot. I won't ever message you again. I just want to stop being bees to each other. You're evil. Like, why can't you interrogate me and, talk to my parents or some way to prove I'm a good man? Do you want my mom to talk to you? I'm going to be in your class for 2 years. I want our war to stop. Is there a way we can completely restart and stop fighting? The issue is that I'm forced to go 2 more years, and I'm in your classes next semester, so I don't want to be enemies. My uncle is an actual lawyer. I don't want to elevate it more. I want a truce. I've learned my lesson. For capstone, we might have to interact. This is BS. We can either be arch enemies or friends and try and get along. I've had a girl who liked me try to unalive me in blank by crashing the car and screaming like an evil demon without context on the Time Bridge. Also, my best friend, blank, asked me to be friends with benefits, randomly and turned into a girl. That is the creepy stuff I've experienced. Also, this chat is fully anonymous, and I am on a VPN for my safety. You are cool, but also freaking terrifying. This guy seems like he's trying to pin it on her, as well as keep saying, oh, my uncle is a lawyer, so I have rights to do this. It's almost like he's trying to defend it. Top comment says, why does he keep saying my uncle is a lawyer? How is that relevant here? OP responds, trying to intimidate me out of taking legal action. On to story number 3. This one's a pretty long one. This one is titled, People Would Argue Someone Like You Would Have No Chance With Me. Damn, far out, probably. I'm just gonna be honest. I just want to hang with you because I enjoy you. Actually, it's probably not worth it. You tore into me about mutual respect, and now that it's there, you aren't upholding your end. Here's my final speech. I really wish you tried. Hey, I don't know how long to say this without upsetting you, since our argument has been extra attentive to the idea of a large ego in me, and the only thing I found to correlate it are the things that I joke about or just say. Oddly, my friends are unprompted and even random people that I would take time to talk with have all said that I am super kind and that my actions show I would put myself down to bring others up. I believe they're right, to an extent, but I also think they can be wrong. Like I have a frat free that I will give food to when they're struggling financially, but I will also not bring them a feast and act like they're skinny. I'm sorry, but I believe the never satisfied ego that you tried to tear me down is for you. And upsetting that you're older than me, but still don't understand 99% of your perceived problems because you chose to perceive them. The pedestal that I had you on was because I believed you understood, and there's no need to drag people down when you're upset, especially when they're trying to listen and find a solution. The night you hopped on and tore into me while you were drunk told me everything. I valued our relationship, and I chose to come into that sober and looking for a problem. You got drunk and decided I meant nothing to you and you should get rid of me. You are a kid in the scope of humanity, and that's fine on a scale, but you need to figure yourself out or you'll keep being fat and miserable. I was nice to you because you were nice to me. I changed my axes to communicate more after our scuffle, and you changed yours to ignore me and punish me whenever you felt a little upset. I'm hurt because I gave the ability to hurt me, and you chose to hurt me. You gave me the ability to hurt you, and I tried to build you up. I wish I knew what was eating at you because I wish to help. But given every conversation we've had where you want to rip me apart and make me fix everything, I don't even think you know what's bothering you, which hurts because I genuinely saw a future for us. You quite literally turned down anyone you perceive as bad for irrational decisions on your end into a Connor in your head, and it's pathetic. You're past high school. Do better. And consider what I've said, because even though I'm upset, if you actually try and listen, you will learn something about yourself and why we failed. I'm tired of asking to hang and getting ignored. I doubt you'll want to be friends after this, but give me the respect I gave you, you egotistical hypocrite. Here's my earned ego. I'm a 24-year-old that runs his own company, invests in stocks, has a toned AF body, at least compared to you, and is patient until someone seeks to purposely hurt me. And I'm a millionaire with well-thought-out worldviews. People would argue someone like you has no chance with me, but I liked your personality because you didn't present as malicious at first. We now know that's a lie, but I still want to believe you can have morals like a conscious human being. Final advice. Figure out what your reason for being upset is. If you can't articulate it, you don't know and shouldn't be trying to hurt others. On top of that, tone yourself up more. Your boobs are nice, but having big boobs because you're fat is like saying you have a fast car but it's falling off the cliff. And your butt is lacking shape. For all the stairs you climb, I expected something that's at least a little nice. Your butt looks like a crinkly bag of potatoes. Sick to upper body or face and actually put work in before you brag about what you can do at the gym. Your face is maybe the best part of you, and that's a 6 out of 10. It's not bad, you can just tell you're overweight by it. The symmetry is solid, but nothing right home about considering you're angry fat A. All that aside, those are the real problems I saw. Anything else is surface level and doesn't really matter if you solve those. Goodbye and good luck. I wish I had what you had in me, so AI could irrationally rip you apart for something you didn't do and feel good about. I just feel bad. I feel bad because when you tried, you were hot. You're just kind of fat, angry, and pathetic to me now. Goodbye. He started off giving, quote, criticism to how her ego's in the way, but the only one talking is his ego. Then he proceeded to say, oh yeah, your body sucks anyway, and you're pathetic, and it feels like projection and insecurity. The top comment says, you just know he sat there furiously writing and rewriting this, reading it out to himself, editing and mumbling back under his breath, and then the moment to be so cocky before he all sent that. But he ain't mad though. Second top comment says, he doesn't think he has a big ego, his whole message is about how awesome he is. And we're on to story number 4. I see all these dumb bees. Yes, dumb bees. Constantly entertaining and fawning over their baby daddies who are absolutely deadbeat Fs that have contributed not even a little advice towards their child's development. And these women are still wanting something to do with their bum-ass slur that had no business procreating to begin with. Yet here I am, a decent guy that's doing better than average, that supports a child that isn't mine, but I've also been involved since she was 5 years old. But I also contribute to a child that I'm unsure is even mine, as well as I can't even make the time of day for any effing female. I'm the personification of nice guys finish last. I have everything I could ever want or need, and I have the means to obtain the things that I want, but the only thing I can't have is an effing loyal woman. I know I'm not perfect, and there's definitely been more than one woman I have fumbled the bag with because of my own fears and insecurities, but goddamn dude, is it ever so trivial to me how these no-life, non-controllably deadbeat MFers get all the glory while the good guys get overlooked. I know I'm not perfect, and there's definitely been more than one woman I have fumbled the bag with because of my own fears and insecurities. But goddamn, dude, is it ever so trivial to me how these no-life, non-controllably deadbeat MFers get all the glory while good guys get overlooked and ass on by these same bums, deadbeats, and these idiot women that glorify the same MFers they sit around and bitch about nonstop. It seems to me like this guy is trying to brag that he takes care of a child that is not his, at least he thinks is not his. At the same time as disrespecting basically every woman, saying, oh yeah, you suck, oh yeah, you always go after the bad guys, this guy is a bad guy, and they're clearly not dating you, so how can you say that? Top comment says, hates women, but wants women? Make it make sense. Hello everyone, and good morning, afternoon, or evening. Today we'll be on the Am I Overreacting subreddit, reading a couple stories for you guys. Without further ado, let's get into the very first story. This one is titled, Am I Overreacting? My brother-in-law let me drink raw milk without telling me. Hello all. I'm a long-time lurker, first-time poster on this sub, so please let me know if this is formatted wrong. I, 16F, live in between my mom and my dad's place, usually spending about a week at each. I've noticed recently that my dad and my brother-in-law have been talking about the benefits of raw milk. Since they have been talking about conspiracies and stuff of this nature, this wasn't bizarre to me, so I just ignored it. But recently, I came into my dad's house and noticed a big carton of what looked like to be milk in fridge. But since it had no label, I decided to ask my brother-in-law, who was home, what it was. He just told me that it was milk from a local farmer and that it was really good and creamy and to try it. I didn't exactly question it or put the pieces together that it was unpasteurized and assumed it was clean. I ended up drinking some, and although it tasted okay at first, I had started to feel a little queasy not long after. I was then told one morning that I would have to pick up more milk from my best friend's mom, who happened to be the person selling it to my family. Since it was within walking distance, I went over with money to buy it off of her. When I saw my best friend, she asked what I was doing here, and I told her that I was buying some of the farmer's milk that her mom gets, and she kind of laughed and said, "Oh, the raw milk? I'm too scared to drink that." I kind of froze in the moment because I felt so stupid for not realizing that it would be raw considering I had been hearing about it from my brother-in-law and dad. I immediately told my older brother, 20 male, who does not agree with drinking raw milk, and he was shocked at brother-in-law would give it to me without even telling me it was pasteurized. I didn't really want to make a big deal, so I asked my dad if he can get some milk from the supermarket, and he immediately brushed me off, telling me we had plenty of milk at home. So my older brother and I boiled the milks ourselves, and we found 2 bugs in it. My sister, who is married to brother-in-law, and brother-in-law saw what we were doing and got upset that we pasteurized one whole carton for ourselves. Even though there were 2 unpasteurized, we were leaving for them. I'm honestly upset because it would be much easier just getting at least 1 liter of store-bought milk for me to have, considering I'm only at my dad's every other week. I feel like I should be able to have pasteurized milk because I'm not forcing them not to have it. It made me sick, and the thought of having dirty bacteria in my milk makes me extremely squeamish. Am I overreacting? I feel like you could have at least told me before letting me drink some. But maybe I shouldn't make a big deal out of it. Edit. I've seen a lot of people commenting about going to court to limit visitation at my dad's. My parents are not divorced, but they are split up and live 2 hours apart. Even though I don't have a legal obligation to visit, I know how my dad will react, and I also love my family. Oh, and I'm not from the US. This one is a little scary because unpasteurized milk is extremely dangerous. You don't know what kind of bacteria, or in this case, bugs, was in that milk. And you also don't know if the cow had some type of sickness or illness. It's always better to pasteurize the milk for both quality and safety. On to story number 2. Am I overreacting? Who does that? I'm done with my family. I'm 70, married to my college sweetheart for 44 years, with 2 adult children, 37F and 34M. My husband keeps doing things without asking, like washing my irreplaceable cotton comforter on warm/hot, fading the pattern and shrinking the stitching. I was on a trip to visit my family and freaked when I got home. I was just trying to be nice. A year later, another trip, and OMG, he did it again. Quote, I was just trying to be nice. Who does that? I let him mow the lawn 3 years ago and decided to lower the mower height and kill the grass. It's all weeds now. I've been chronically ill since 2018, EDS, POTS, MCAS for those in the know, and the lawn was one of the few things that I could maintain. It brought me so much joy. The list goes on, but I'll spare you. The final straw was last month, when I went to put my 12-year-old dog to sleep. That dog and I had mountain biked and hiked for 3 awesome years before I got sick, and he had laid next to me during the next bad 4 years of illness, never nagging me to take him for an outing that I was too ill to provide. Best boy ever. He was quite ill, and I laid next to him on a makeshift bed of pillows on the floor nearly 24/7 to comfort him, with his paws on my leg. I wanted to come back from saying goodbye and just sit there to remember him and our good times. When I was gone, my husband took the dog bed and my bed of pillows up and washed them. Boom. When I asked why he would do this without asking, he said, I was just trying to be nice. I take care of myself, the dogs, the house, the bills, the taxes, and everything else, except taking the garbage to dump every other week and breaking down the cardboard boxes. I buy everything for the house, appliance and consumable, and I read the owner's manual and online instructions. If I let him do anything, he makes it up and ruins the past of how many years I've worked put in. Our 2 kids won't give me a drop of empathy so they can stay on his good side. He gives them money more than I do, even though I made twice the salary for 27 years until I got sick. I think he's a narcissist, a poster boy for weaponizing confidence, and has maligned me to the kids while love-bombing them. He's the good guy, and I'm the B-word who picks fights with all of them, so I'm done. They're all toxic, and it's not good for my health to be around them. I'll stay in the house I've done everything on, remodels, furniture, and maintenance. He has to move out if they can sell it and split it when I die. I'm 70, but not imminently dying. I will essentially divorce all 3 of them. Am I overreacting? OP here is definitely not overreacting. Being this old in your age unfortunately does not give you more options to just leave your husband or abandon your kids. In this situation, she's being treated awfully, and I genuinely hope this person's health improves. Now, on to story number 3. This one is titled, Am I Overreacting for Feeling Humiliated After My Boyfriend Made Me Leave His House in Front of His Friends? I never thought something so small would make me feel so embarrassed. I've always been a quiet girl, and I truly love my boyfriend. Whenever he invited me over, I was just happy spending time with him. One evening, he told me some of his friends were coming over to watch a game. I helped him clean up a little and even brought snacks because I wanted everyone to have a good time. When his friends arrived, everything seemed fine at first. We were all sitting together, talking and laughing. Then one of his friends made a joke about couples spending too much time together. Instead of laughing it off, my boyfriend looked at me, said maybe I should leave so the guys can have their own time. I thought he was joking, but he kept repeating it while everyone was looking at me. The room suddenly became very quiet. I felt my face get hot-shot red with embarrassment. I tried to smile and act like it didn't bother me, but inside I felt hurt. Nobody said anything, and I slowly packed up my bag. As I walked to the door, I could hear some of his friends laughing. I feel like everyone was watching me leave. The ride home was longer than expected. I kept thinking about what happened and wondering why he could not have just spoken to me privately. I would have understood if he wanted time alone with his friends. What hurt me was the way he did in front of everyone, making me feel unwanted and out of place. Later that night, he texted me like nothing happened. That made me feel worse. I cared about him deeply and always tried to support him, but I could not stop thinking about how humiliated I felt. I was not angry because he wanted time with his friends. I was hurt because someone I loved made me feel small in front of other people. That is why I keep asking myself, am I overreacting? Or would anyone feel embarrassed after being treated that way? This person is definitely not overreacting. It definitely was disrespectful how he made her feel little in front of his friends. This girl should definitely have a talk with her boyfriend, and hopefully it works out. Now, on to story number 4. Am I overreacting that my son needs to pay us back? I, 45 female, and my husband, 49 male, have 2 adult children. Our son, almost 21 male, ended up in a bit of situation a couple weeks ago. My son texted me asking if I could get him and his girlfriend, 20F, to and from work for a couple weeks. When I asked why, he let me know his car had been repoed and that he can get it back in 10 days to come up with the $1,900 to do so. He did not want me to tell his dad/my husband. My son also asked if we can maybe help him with some of those funds because they aren't willing to give him an extra 4 days period beyond that for him to land on payday. We agreed and said he'd have to pay us back whatever he borrowed. As I helped them get back and forth, I asked them questions like why hasn't he gotten his second car repaired, or why he didn't ask for help with a car payment before all of this snowballed. The answer to both was a super honest one. We've just been irresponsible with money lately. I appreciate the honesty, but I let him know that this would have been much cheaper all around if he just asked for help with the car payment. He works 2 jobs and makes good money in his full-time job, so this shouldn't be an issue at all. As this 10 days went on, I noticed his girlfriend was carrying a brand new, almost $400 Coach purse bag. Her birthday was just before all this happened. I said nothing about it. However, when I picked her up from work one of the last days before he got his car back, she casually mentioned she's, quote, looking for better paying jobs for him, that she, quote, wants a dog, and when she gets a dog, she's, quote, going to drop full time to maybe 5 hours a day, 2 to 3 days a week, so she can stay with the dog. I still said nothing. Today, my son wants to pay back half of what he borrowed from us to get his car back. We didn't loan him the full amount. He did pay for the bulk of it, and we don't technically need the money back. He did send the payment. I let my husband know, and he said that our son doesn't need to pay the rest back and to give him back what he paid tomorrow. I said no, that this is a lesson in swallowing his pride and would have cost far less if he had asked before there was an issue, let alone the inconvenience to me. My husband pushed back and said we really don't need it, and he doesn't want him hurting financially over it. We're extremely flexible with being paid back. At this point, I let my husband know the handbag in her work plan and said it's beyond irresponsible when she's rocking a brand new higher-end industry and is trying to drop down to part-time. I said by not making him pay us back, we are effectively letting her decide that it is not our son's job to support her financially, but ours as well, and I'm unwilling to send that message to either of them. I've dug my heels in. I expect this money back. Am I overreacting about this? Should we make our son pay back so that's his lesson 6? I believe this person is not overreacting. Her son had already admitted that they are financially irresponsible, and the new Coach purse bag is definitely a sign of that, and as well as dropping to a part-time job. If he really wants the money, then he should be able to ask before it gets much worse, or create a compromise with his girlfriend. Now, onto story number 5. Am I overreacting? Monster in-laws. I have a 4-week-old baby. Before birth, I had some minor issues with my in-laws, but nothing super crazy. The plan for my entire pregnancy was that my mother-in-law would stay in our home while we were hospitalized for birth. This way, our pets could stay in their natural environment and be fed and taken care of. The night I gave birth, my mother and father-in-law came to meet the baby, and they never even stopped to acknowledge me, who just gave birth 2 hours prior. They left fairly quickly. The next day, my husband opens a text from father-in-law that says they went back home. They live 2.5 hours away. I was upset because they didn't even bother to tell us they were leaving, and now our pets, a dog who was still in the puppy stage, a cat, and chickens, had nobody to take care of them. We ended up not being able to go home for 9 days, and my husband had to go home every day to take care of the animals. It took him hours because our dogs need attention, and he's still very young. I was upset because his parents had promised to take care of the house, but didn't. My husband had to lose bonding time with his new family over it. Fast forward 2 weeks, PP and my in-laws said they want to come visit. I had to prepare my home for guests, but I wanted them to be able to see their grandchild, so I did it anyways. The day comes, they were supposed to arrive and they never showed up. Never texted either. The next week comes and they randomly text 30 minutes before they arrived to say they were coming. I was scrambling to get things ready. Newborn life is hard and my house wasn't the cleanest. They come in and my sister-in-law is with them. She doesn't say a word to me. Not even hello. The entire visit, I'm sitting alone while nobody even acknowledges me, and they're holding my baby the entire time. When my baby cries, my mother-in-law refuses to give her back to me. My sister-in-law refuses to even hold the baby. Middle of the day, they decide they're going out for a bit. My mother-in-law asks if my sister-in-law wants to stay with me while she goes out. My sister-in-law basically rushes to get her shoes on to leave, leaving me at my home all alone. My husband was at work for the day. The rest of their visit is the same. Nobody speaks to me, nobody asks how I'm doing. When they leave, nobody even told me goodbye. My husband makes excuses for their behavior every time. I told him he has to say something to them or I refuse to be around them anymore, which he says is a little extreme, but I don't believe so. Am I overreacting? I believe this person is not overreacting. With a newborn baby life and the in-laws showing up completely out of random, if they're gonna act like this, the husband should be there to deal with them. And if he has a problem with that, then you have a husband problem. Hello everyone, and good morning, afternoon, or evening. Today we'll be reading a couple stories that I've gathered for you guys. There's no specific subreddit today, but if you guys have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments. Now let's get into the first post. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister she's not Jewish? My wife, female 43, and I, male 39, traveled across the country to see my parents. We live in the Pacific Northwest, and my parents live in New England, specifically North Coast coastal Massachusetts. My parents wanted to take us out to dinner and have my sister, female 44, and her boyfriend, male 49, come too. My sister and I aren't particularly close, but we have had a fine enough adult relationship. We were closer before I moved to the West Coast. My mom has been researching family history for a few years. She submitted her DNA to one of those websites that track ancestry and genealogy. Through matching DNA, she even found a long-lost brother who had been up for adoption. She also learned that one of her grandparents was a Jew. So, according to DNA results, my mother is also quarter Ashkenazi Jewish. This would make my sister and me roughly 12% Ashkenazi Jewish. We didn't grow up religious at all. My immediate family didn't attend church or any religious meetings. My dad grew up Catholic, went to Catholic school, and attended Mass every Sunday until he moved out to go to college. After that, he was done. My mom grew up in a non-religious household. She did have a King James Bible in her nightstand, but I never saw her open it. At dinner, my sister and my mom were at one of the tables talking, and somehow our Jewish ancestry was mentioned. Both my sister and mom said to the table, "We are Jewish." I responded by saying, "I'm sorry, but Judaism is a religion, and you should be practicing to call yourself Jewish." My sister said, "Well, don't tell that to my son. This is really important to him." I responded by explaining that it was cool to embrace family history, but that they shouldn't call us Jewish when we've never practiced, been to a temple, or followed any laws of the rituals. She called me ignorant. So, I asked her, "Would you claim to be Jewish in a room full of Jews or at a temple?" She didn't answer the question and continued arguing about how I should be less ignorant, and asked if I thought Jesus was a Jew. By this point, everyone seemed uncomfortable, so I thought it was best to be quiet and let them change the conversation. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister she's not Jewish? OP is definitely not the a-hole here. Jewish is not an identity or ethnicity, it is a practice of Judaism. Now, while some people can be born into a Jewish family, being Jewish does not come from that. OP in the post was right. They don't practice Judaism, they've never been to a temple, and they've never even practiced the rituals. How can someone claim they're Jewish if they've never even practiced a single law that they follow? Now, onto post number 2. This one involves text messages, so if anyone gets confused about the dialogue, I will have the text messages on screen for you guys. Boyfriend just broke up with me over romance movies. Help me. Context. Could someone please confirm that I'm not in the wrong and it's a movie? Me and my partner, both 19, have been together for almost 2 years now. We've been having so much issues lately and we've been working on it. We broke up a few days ago and we tried to talk it out, but we brought up all the issues that were ruining us. And I told him I was watching a romance movies recently and it completely changed his mood and made him disgusted. He said it's a boundary he has and I cannot watch them because they brainwash women and make fake expectations. He said that this is his one boundary, and to me it sounds ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I sent him some articles, some Reddit posts proving why romance isn't a bad thing, and that was the final straw. He said I'm trying to prove his feelings wrong, which I get, but that's so insane to me. A part of me feels guilty, but I mean, over romance? How absurd, I can't. We had a lot of issues, but what's crazy is we fixed them, and then I said I wanted to watch The Friends, and wanted to watch a rom-com. He said that was my final kick. Please read this part update in WDID. I'm so confused right now. He came to my house sobbing and begging me tonight and said how he's fine with me watching romances if it takes staying with me. He just didn't feel like enough. I know I shouldn't take him back, but he's now saying I should be grateful he's going on walks with him, etc. He was generally having a panic attack and left his house in pajamas and ran 20 minutes to my house and was banging on my door. I was terrified, but I let him in and spoke a whole lot of nothing. He's begging me to stay with him. I feel so weird. His parents even try to get his mother asking where my address is. I'm convinced he has so many mental health issues to work on and he must do that alone. The text messages say, "But watching romances while you're with me makes you feel really bad. Am I not enough romance? Some of them are funny, but ones strictly about that are so insulting. This is what pisses me off about you two and all your effing romances, blank. Life isn't that. You have like a 0.1% chance of that. I'm a small chance. So many effing horrible people. No effing when we're not going out places the weather's horrible and I'm effing broke. Yeah, complain saying you don't want to pay anymore. No effing S. I don't want to pay you, see my bank account, and I see yours and you just don't care. Why wouldn't I tell you the movie? Because maybe you're watching a romance. I watched Twilight for you. I watched this SE horror movie. I watched Breakup or whatever. It's not that hard to respect I'm saying, but no. I don't really want to explain anymore. I gave some really understandable reason. I get that honestly, but please look at this from an outside perspective. You're restricting a movie genre. I don't know, I don't think I'm blinded or anything, but this isn't normal. I think you are. OP is not in the wrong here. Restricting an entire movie genre is completely absurd. I'd get if it was some type of movie genre they're just uncomfortable with watching with you, but to restrict you from watching the movie genre as a whole is completely disrespectful. Now, on to story number 3. Am I the a-hole for showing up underprepared to a hike and being put off with my friends for not warming me and also ditching me? Genuinely need help understanding if I'm a wuss who dragged everyone backwards today or if we're mad for the right reasons. I'll change minor details here for discretion. I've 31F had a friend group similar ages saying we'd like to get together for a hike sometime. We've scheduled, rescheduled, planned and unplanned babysitters and dog sitters, and finally managed it. So I'd been tossing out trail ideas, something easy, single day. My 2 friends say, we'd like to just hike the trail right by our place. And they essentially tell me it's a straight shot. We'll have a buddy drop us off on the other side of the hill and we'll hike over, and essentially back down into their neighborhood. 6 hours, start to finish. So my boyfriend and I show up, backpacks, basic snacks, water bottles. They show up on bikes. Well, my boyfriend and I are a little confused. We thought this was a hike, for leisure. No rush, just sort of one foot in front of another type thing. They say it's no rush, they may beat us, but we're all going back to the neighborhood. Plus, there are a bunch of scenic outlooks where they'll stop and we'll catch up. Well, to no one's surprise, we got left behind pretty quickly. No cell service to be spoken of. We kept having to crowd off to one side of ATVs ripping down the path. But the longer we keep walking, one thing becomes clearer and clearer. This is not any kind of hiking trail. It's not built for this at all, despite that being the original idea. Eventually, we stop and rest and wind up chatting with these guys who've pulled over on their ATVs. They've asked us where we're heading, and we tell them. It becomes immediately clear that we have much further to go than originally intended. Like several miles to go yet. These 2 were saints, because they gave us a lift. The further we rode, the more astonished we became that anyone had expected us to do us on foot. It took us at least 15 more minutes to get there by ATV. We got back to Trailhead and realized it wasn't exactly right into the neighborhood like we'd been told, so we just started walking. Eventually, they came by and picked us up. I'd say maybe 20 minutes or so after we'd hit the main road. Told them we were too tired to stay for dinner, the original plan, and we booked out and grabbed something on the way home. Here's where I'm at. We're adults, I was clearly underprepared, and no one should have to be responsible for me. On the other hand, this trip was vastly misrepresented to us, and had I known, I would have told these people we didn't own mountain bikes and to count us out. This was not a hike. We have vastly different ideas of what constitutes as hike. I've been fielding calls about how the way things went down. But honestly, I just said that I made it home safe and I'd talk to everyone later. My mom had been babysitting so we could go on, and when she asked me, I told her all of the above, and then said, I tried to hold it together because I figured maybe I was just tired and crabby, but then we had dinner and I was still upset. She genuinely asked me if these people were my friends. I'm going to sleep on it because it's fresh, but I feel like she's right. I felt like I was taking crazy pills today, because damn, at least tell me I'd be better off just going home. I felt like the people who knew the area misrepresented the trip, then totally effed off and left us to figure out a way back. Additionally, I get very few days off with a babysitter, so to have planned excessively for this, to have it go down that way was additionally disappointing. Although not everyone's fault, just gave an extra grievance, honestly. I don't know, it just feels like we got lost in the plot here somewhere, and I'm not demanding an apology, I'm just not going to be expecting help or logic from any of these people in the near future. OP is definitely not in the wrong here. The people who knew the hill definitely should have told OP that this wasn't a normal hiking trail and that it was a biking trail. It is very inconsiderate to not tell OP that this was a biking trail. Not to mention, they just left her there. They just dropped her off knowing she didn't have a bike and then left her behind. She could have gotten lost if those ATV riders weren't there. Now, on to story number 4. This one also includes text messages. They will be displayed on screen if anybody would like to see them. Am I overreacting because my boyfriend insists he wasn't yelling, but someone next to me asked if I was okay? For context, I recently attended a conference and had a really difficult experience. I felt excluded by a lot of people and came away feeling pretty terrible about myself. It affected me more than I expected, and I ended up crying in front of my boyfriend in a way I never have before. I felt very vulnerable. To his credit, he was supportive that day. The next day, I was still upset and wanted to talk about it. He started offering solutions, but I was more in a venting mood and just wanted somebody to listen. At some point, I apparently came across as rude. I genuinely didn't realize it. When he later told me I'd been rude, I apologized immediately. I told him that if I had hurt him, I'm sorry. Later that day, he sent me a photo of himself. I jokingly said that he looked old. It wasn't a nice thing to say, and I can see why I hurt his feelings. The irony is that he regularly jokes about me getting old and turning 30, even though he knows that's something I'm a little insecure about. After that, I was traveling and he didn't really continue the conversation. Later, he called me. From the beginning, he seemed very angry and annoyed. He kept asking things like, "Why are you calling?" and, quote, "What's the point?" Even though we were just talking, looking back, I suspect he was still upset about the comment I made, which would be fair, but instead of directly saying, "I'm hurt by what you said," he was passive-aggressive and hostile throughout the entire conversation. His voice got louder and louder during the call. I was sitting in the car with a friend, and after the call ended, she asked me if everything was okay because she could hear how he was speaking to me through the phone. When I later told him that he had raised his voice, he completely denied it. Not that he didn't mean to, not that he was frustrated, just that it didn't happen. What really bothers me is that this feels like a pattern. If I hurt him, I may be defensive at first, but I usually reflect on it and apologize. He often calls me immature, but when he's upset, it feels like he does things like this instead of communicating with me directly. If I tell him something that he said or hurt me, the conversation often becomes why my perception is wrong rather than acknowledging my feelings or his part in the situation. I honestly can't remember the last time he gave a genuine apology without spending a long time arguing that he hadn't done anything wrong. At this point, I'm less upset about the specific argument and more upset by the feeling that accountability that goes one way in this relationship. Am I overreacting? Now for the text messages. Blank heard you screaming at me through the phone. Not cool, bro. I was talking very calmly. This was uncalled for. I did not scream at any point. Stop making things up. Yeah, you did. Smiley face. Stop gaslighting me. I'm not. I know what I said and how I said. Yeah, other people are making stuff up. Stop painting a picture where you're a victim of domestic violence. She doesn't even understand Hindi. She heard you through the phone. Paige asked me, is everything okay? You were very loud. And instead of apologizing, you're doubling down. Very good. I did not shout, blank. Tell me which phrase did I shout? Why would she ask me that if you weren't loud? Can't even remember what I shouted. And it's become very normalized where you think you are not shouting when you actually are. Exactly, blank. You don't even know your own tone. That was a question to you. You kept on asking me, what do you want? Why are you calling me? Yup, asking, not shouting. Anyway, if you don't think you did, then how can I make you understand here? Rather than focusing on what other people are saying and start focusing on things that are actually wrong with us. You embarrass me. And we've always talked about not taking this public. Whatever fights we have, never do it publicly. First of all, I did not shout. Second, this was a private call and not a public discussion. Third, you could have pointed out that I was shouting/loud. At no point you did. Fourth, you could have suppressed the external perception by saying that he was not shouting. Very easy thing to do if someone misunderstood. If you don't understand this, even after all these points, then I don't know what to tell you. It's funny how two people were saying you were shouting and you're still doubling down, refusing to take responsibility. First, yes you did. Second, I know. That it's not like I put you on loudspeaker. Third, I kept talking calmly. I said something in Hindi. Fourth, I did that. But I can't magically hide the fact that you were indeed shouting. I don't succumb to external pressures. I know what I said and did. We are at an impasse. I don't have anything else to say. OP is definitely not in the wrong here. They were extremely condescending during the text messages, sending smiley faces when they know the other person's in a bad mood. Not to mention them saying don't paint yourself as a victim of domestic violence is an extreme red flag. She was never doing that to begin with, she was just trying to have a conversation about him yelling. I really hope OP gets out of this relationship because it honestly seems a little dangerous. Hello everyone, and good morning, afternoon, or evening. Today we'll be on the Am I the A-hole subreddit, reading a couple stories that I've gathered for you guys. Without further ado, let's get into the first story. Would I be the a-hole if I dropped out as a bridesmaid a week before the wedding because of what happened at the bachelorette? So I am a bridesmaid at my friend's wedding. She had just had a bachelorette party at the groom's family's cabin for 2 nights. It started off okay, but as the attendants got more and more drunk, the racism and anti-Semitism started to come out. For context, everyone else in the wedding party is white. I am mixed Jewish and Asian, and Irish when not relevant to this post. My part of the party was to put on a tea party in the afternoon. I spent weeks hand decorating tea set as a wedding present. Weddings are huge in my culture and I wanted to share that joy. I bought and cooked a bunch of my cultural food, but the basic stuff even Western people like lumpia, baked desserts, and skyflakes with cheese and meat. I of course checked with the bride and MOH beforehand and both said that it would be okay, with the bride saying she loved lumpia. I was so proud of it and it looked beautiful all set up. But immediately, some of the bridal parties started making the ew ethnic food faces. One of them chased another around with a sweet bun, laughing about how weird and scary it was. It was literally bread and cream. I sent pictures of my setup to other friends to see if I did something wrong, and everyone said it looked amazing. Edit, because I need to be precise. People did say thank you, including the bride. They said the setup was very pretty. It was a reaction to the food by some of them that I was describing. That being said, almost nobody spoke during the tea party portion, and blamed it on being tired. The bride and friends did not say anything about the reactions of the other girls. The main feedback I got is that I was clearly a witch because my tea put everyone to sleep. It was a hibiscus rose mint and calamansi mix. But oh well, maybe that food isn't for them. I moved on. But then the racist jokes started. The party started Juneteenth. You can imagine the jokes that came out of that. Then anti-Semitic jokes about Holocaust camps and more. This is direct quote. I say a lot of Nazi and Holocaust jokes for someone who isn't racist. I was trapped on a boat with them when this started happening. Later that night, as I was grabbing something from a room to then leave, the main perpetrator said to someone I considered a close friend, "I was worried you'd be offended by the Auschwitz jokes because you're German." That friend replied she wasn't offended. I spoke up, "Well, I might be offended because I'm Jewish." I got up to leave with my stuff, and the girl said, "She's going back to Auschwitz." My friend, the bride, everyone laughed. I went outside and cried. They saw me from the window and they all came out to eat food. Not a single one of my friends came to check up on me. The vibes continued along that line, and I felt like I was a Jewish Asian version of Get Out, stuck in a giant home with a bunch of racist white people. But honestly, the fear from it wasn't the worst part. It was that not having a single one of my friends say anything. I then was in a 4-hour car ride with one of the friends as bridesmaids on the way home. She spent the last hour of it lecturing me about how she's, quote, someone who can be cordial around people she doesn't agree with, but not everyone has a skill, especially when it's personal, and that, quote, I need to put myself in other people's shoes and see that they have positive intentions, and more. For context, this cabin was 4 hours away, and I have a pretty moderate disability. I was using 110% of my energy for this, and had no energy left by the end of it. I pushed myself to extremes for these friends and the bride, and it was reciprocated with laughing at anti-Semitic jokes at my expense. The wedding is next weekend. I can barely see from the migraine I have, and my legs are struggling walking. I don't feel like it's worth to hurt myself for someone who couldn't bother to stand up for me, or even check on me after. All my friends of color agree with me, but this was my high school friend group. I grew up in a very white town. And I also feel guilty like I'm letting them down. But I'm not quite sure what to do. So, Reddit, please help me out. Edit, I was a history major, which makes this whole thing even worse. So I have to add context that I realized I didn't miss in the comments. The friend in the car is the friend who said she wasn't offended by the Holocaust jokes to the person. She was asked by the jokester because she's German and lives in Germany. In the car, she did say that she was absolutely against the concentration camp joke and that she feels guilty and she didn't say anything. The words "I'm sorry" never came out of her mouth though. But then, I brought up some other stuff with the food and racist comments, and that's why she went on the tangent. She also said she saw the racism, but told me in those situations you just have to ignore it and choose not to be around those people again. As she knew there were racism happening, including towards me, and didn't say anything or check in on me, I will be choosing not to be around her again. I also told her repeatedly that I didn't want to talk about this now because I was so physically done, and she said, "This is my car and I'm driving. I don't want to be uncomfortable and have tension here. We are talking." I have a vocal cord disorder and my speaking is limited, so I didn't say much. And I didn't want to get dropped off on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. I told her she crossed a boundary she can't come back from, though. The people making racist jokes were the siblings/cousins of the groom. My friends were the close ones laughing along and not saying anything. I have been long distance with these friends since high school. The friend in the car with me was a social justice club with me in high school. There was not a lot of signs of this behavior before from either friend or the bride. In fact, the bride went with me to an anti-ICE fundraiser party earlier this year, and we had a lot of fun. I have never been shy with my opinions, especially as someone who studied history. This was the first time I was hanging with them around a bunch of other people. In reviewing the comments, I realized that they may not have been racist with me before, but didn't stop or say anything about racism when it happened, which is in fact racism. That is a key difference. I am also more white than not. I am ethnically Jewish, but not religious. I often don't feel like I have the right to be upset about these things because other family have gone through worse. That's something I'm working to unlearn, and this was definitely some exposure therapy to that. Why didn't I say anything at the party? Because I'm in the middle of nowhere surrounded by drunk people making racist comments at me. I've survived violence before, and I know sometimes keeping your mouth shut is what needs to happen until you're in a safe space. Lastly, I will not be going to the wedding. I need to get off screens because my head is killing me, but your common support helped me settle this emotionally. I will decide tomorrow how I will inform the bride. OP here definitely made the right call. No matter how good friends you are with a person, if they are disrespecting you, they are not your friend. Not going to the wedding is definitely the best choice here, even if the bride is upset. I'm glad OP is taking care of herself and choosing her over her friend. Now, on to story number 2. Am I the a-hole for asking my boyfriend for my deposit back? Me, 36F, and my boyfriend, 39M, have been dating for a full year and have finally decided to move in together, and we're super excited. Last week, Saturday, was our moving day. I'm moving in with him, and we needed a moving van which he was driving but I was paying for. It was going to cost 250 euros for the day, but he had to book it due to insurance and etc. So I sent him over the money and he went to pick up the van. And they said they need an extra 100 euro insurance money that we would get back after the van is paid off and there's no damages. I said fine and sent over the extra money. The move went fine and we're really happy and excited. When he dropped off the van, I asked about the 100 euro and he said they would send it back in a few days. I said fine, didn't think any more of it. We spent the next few days unpacking etc. and just enjoying Color's company and the whole experience. Thursday night, as we were going to bed, I said, "Oh, they still haven't given us back that deposit money? We'll have to call them in the morning. See what happened." He froze. "Oh, they put the money in my bank on Monday." I looked at him and said, "Why didn't you put it in my bank?" He got really upset with me and started saying it would only go to shopping anyway, and why does it matter whose bank it goes in? I was really confused and upset. I said, "But you didn't even tell me they'd give you the money back." Or said, "Let's just keep it for shopping," but you just kept it? He then got really angry and shouted, "Fine, I'll put it in your bank." And he grabbed his phone and transferred the money. I'm left shocked and confused. Was I wrong to ask for the money back? Am I the a-hole? Update. Thank you all for commenting. Your comments have been really helpful. At least I know I'm not overreacting or going crazy. I'm going to keep an eye on things and see how it goes. As I said in one of my comments, he's never shouted at me before. Maybe this is just a strange one-off, but I will be having a conversation with him about finances. Also, one good thing that did come up a lot in the comments, everything is in his name. The tenancy, the bills, everything. So if this is a case of mass slipping, I can just walk away, and I will. Thanks again. OP is definitely not in the wrong here for asking for her money back. No matter how little or how big the money is, it is your money still. Even if it will go to shopping or bills, that is still your money. Where it goes is your choice and not his. And it is very unthoughtful and disrespectful to keep somebody else's money, especially without paying them back. I have a small doubt that the 100 euros wasn't actually another deposit, but rather something he could use for emergencies. And even if that was that, he could have just said it. The lack of communication on his end is really disturbing. Now, onto the third story. Am I the a-hole for letting not my daughter celebrate Father's Day with me? I, 44M, have known Morgan, 19F, since she was a baby. Her mother, 43F, and I were friends since high school. Her dad took off back in Mexico after she was conceived and hasn't heard from her since. Her mother and I hung out occasionally until about 5 years ago when she got with a guy who she quickly married and is heavy into drugs. Morgan was sent off to live with her grandmother, and she rarely sees her mother and stepfather. Morgan and I reconnected when she invited me to her graduation party. Since then, I've helped her with figuring out her finances, getting a car, apartment, and registered for college classes. We don't see each other often, but she knows I'm always just a phone call away. I ran into her yesterday at the grocery store and just making small talk, accidentally asked if she had any big plans for Father's Day, feeling stupid right after saying it, knowing her situation. She laughed and said I was the only thing that resembled a father in her life. So I thought, why not invite her out with my wife and 2 teenage kids for our traditional Father's Day dinner at a nice restaurant? And she quickly accepted the invite. This evening, we had a great dinner, had some laughs, and treated her like she was one of the family. She even made me a almost Father's Day card. Everything seems to go great. Later tonight, her mother starts blowing up my phone, telling me what a terrible person I am in much harsher words, and pretty much every name in the book, saying what a sick person I am for pretending and messing with her daughter's emotions, and she has a real father and stepfather, and I'm neither of those. So, am I the a-hole? OP is definitely not the a-hole here. In fact, the opposite. Inviting somebody who isn't your daughter and does not have father figures is an extremely kind gesture. She happily accepted, meaning she was really grateful for it. OP is such a saint here and actually the sweetest person. There is no way in this situation could he be the a-hole. I'm really glad he did what he did, and I'm sure Morgan is really appreciative too. Now, onto the 4th story. Am I the a-hole for telling my guests it's better they don't come to the wedding after they complained about our wedding too much? We are getting married in less than 2 months. Our RSVP deadline was a month ago, and everyone responded our RSVP but one couple. We really had to hound them to get any kind of answer from them. Yesterday, they sent us a message telling us they're free to come, but alongside the reply, they sent us a long message about how cumbersome and expensive it is to attend our wedding and how tiring the weekend for them will be, and how they probably need to retreat for the hotel room most of the day and stay for the ceremony and part of dinner, but retreat to the room for the rest of the festivities. We were taken aback because we were paying for everything. Food, drinks, parking, and we were also paying everyone's accommodation, a very nice lakeside hotel. Their biggest expense would be to pay the gas for the 4-hour drive to the wedding and back. They have a car. They also complained about the dress code. We have black tie, but they both own clothes that would fit the dress code, so they wouldn't have to buy new clothes anyway. But they complained about that too. We read the message and basically told them that if coming would be so tiresome for them, it is better not to come. We said that we're not mad at all if someone can't make it or doesn't feel up to it, and there's no hard feelings, but basically uninvited them. I know it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things budget-wise, but each guest cost us around $600, and I didn't feel like spending $1,200 on people that didn't even want to be there. They're not angry at us and refuse to speak to us. We were thinking that we were a bit harsh. Were we the a-holes? In this situation, OP is definitely not the a-hole. Despite the fact that it is your wedding and you can uninvite and invite whoever you want, they were complaining from start to finish in their message. It's definitely not unreasonable for OP to uninvite these guys, especially when they wouldn't enjoy it. Hello everyone, and good morning, afternoon, or evening. Today we'll be on the Am I the A-hole subreddit reading a couple stories I've gathered for you guys. The first post does contain an update, and I will be reading that update. Without further ado, let's get into the very first story. Am I the a-hole? I don't want custody of my sister's 3 kids. I, 29F, have 1 kid, 11F. My sister, 32F, has 3 kids, 11F, 8F, and 6F. The oldest is also autistic. About 3 years ago, my sister lost custody of her kids. The girls were split up in the system for a little over a year before our mom, 52F, got custody 2 years ago. Over the last 2 years, the girls have been really thriving. They're happy, healthy, and doing well in school. Recently, my mom got some unexpected health issues and are severely impacting her mobility and energy. There is no cure. She called me last week to ask if I would take the girls so they aren't split up in the system again. My heart sank. I love my nieces, there's no denying that, and my daughter loves her cousins. The kids get along great. They live on the opposite side of the country, but I visit whenever possible. I'm always planning all sorts of activities and experiences for them, and encouraging them to pursue things they love. The oldest loves art, the middle child loves gymnastics, and the youngest loves Pokemon and video games. I plan things we can all do together, and I make sure they each get one-on-one time too. I would die for these girls, but I just don't have the means to care for them full time. My husband and I are considered a low-income family. After a decade of saving, we finally bought a small 2-bed townhouse, but there's barely enough room for the 3 of us, let alone another 3 kids too. I suggested my mom move closer so I can help her out more day to day, but she shot that down rather quickly. Her reasons were she didn't want to pull the kids out of their current school, but I guess it's okay if I do. And with her health issues, she didn't have to find a new doctor. That one is pretty valid. There's a serious healthcare crisis in my country. Us moving closer to them is not an option. We would both have to find new jobs, and my husband's current job has really good benefits we can't afford to lose. My mom is retired, so the only thing tying her to her current location is her doctor. My heart is breaking. I don't want to lose the nieces to the system again. I love the relationship we have, but I don't see how I could sustainably take on all 3 of them full time. My mom and my sister have been calling me heartless, and I haven't fully thought it through, but I have. I've been thinking about it every day for over 3 years when my sister first lost her custody. Edit. Oh wow, I already can't keep up with the comments, so I'm going to address a couple questions here. The dad is not in the picture. He has 2 other kids from 2 other women that he also walked out on. My sister is on drugs and living in a tent, but it's got a great view of a lake. There's no other family that could help. My mother is also low income and her retirement funds barely cost the cover of living as it is, but I will definitely be looking into other resources and government funding. Thank you to those providing actual helpful advice and suggestions. I am not in the US. OP is definitely not the a-hole for not taking custody of the kids. First of all, they're not her kids, and her sister lost them. She has no right to try and guilt trip the person into picking up the pieces. The mom realized that she can't fulfill the responsibility after trying to pick up the pieces herself. This is a really unfortunate situation and I feel so bad for the kids. I hope this all goes well in the end. Now for the update post. Update. Am I the a-hole? I don't want custody of my sister's 3 kids. It's been a hectic month, but before I dive into the update, I wanted to address a few more comments and questions from my last post. I was just too overwhelmed to elaborate on the time. I'm sorry if it's a bit long. You can skip to the bottom for the update. I've spoken to the kids' caseworker. She interviewed me when my mother was trying to get custody to ask about the upbringing and make sure it was a good environment for the kids. I reached out more recently to go over logistics if I were to take them in. The caseworker told me she thinks I would be a great fit to give them a stable home, but I lack the adequate space needed to improve as their guardian. She offered to look into low-income housing options in my area that would be big enough, but the wait lists are unbelievably long. Finances. Yes, we would receive a decent chunk of funding per child, and twice as much for the eldest on the spectrum to help cover the kids' cost. But it's money that I would be spending on food, clothes, and other day-to-day necessities, not money I would put towards on a down payment to a bigger house. That financial assistance also wouldn't be considered income as far as my MTG approval goes, because it's money for the kids, not me. And when I say we just bought a small town house, I meant we closed a little over a month ago and we haven't even finished getting settled yet. It also took our entire savings to do so. We are financially sitting back at square one again. Breaking our brand new mortgage, not to mention the legal costs and realtor fees, etc., is not financially feasible. We also receive first-time homebuyer rebates and our closing costs / land transfer taxes, thousands of dollars, that we would have to pay back if we don't live in our new house as a primary residence for at least a year. The rent prices where I live are about twice the cost of my MTG. So even putting aside all those other factors, renting again still just wouldn't make sense. The math is not mathing. If I could just win the lotto, my problems would be solved. Luckily, my husband has amazing benefits planned through his work, so dental, glasses, meds, and even therapy are all covered and would extend to the kids if he got custody. All 3 need glasses, and the youngest has a nasty habit of losing or breaking hers. Caring for special needs. I mentioned the eldest on the spectrum struggles socially and with emotional regulation. She's also incredibly bright and appreciates her space and independence. I spent a lot of time volunteering with special needs kids when I was in high school, and I know how difficult it can be. My niece is not what I would consider difficult. She might operate a little differently, but it's nothing out of my scope. My daughter is actually very similar to my niece in all these aspects, as I said before. My patience knows no bounds when it comes to these kids. I'm also fortunate enough to have an opportunity to work from home when needed. I do not have to go into the office a couple days a week, and for some tasks that can be handled remotely. But it's flexible enough that I can be home for emergencies, sick days, or even if it's just to go to a school talent show or something. My husband, on the other hand, has a very demanding job. It's impossible to do remotely, and it's not something he can easily call in sick from. Even if I had a huge emergency, he would have to wait for his replacement to enter the control room before he could leave. Building resentment in my husband and daughter. I've talked about this with my husband extensively since my sister first lost custody. He knows how much I love those girls and would support my decision to take them in if we could swing it. While I haven't talked to my daughter about it because I don't want to get her hopes up over something that likely can't happen, I say that she's begged me for a sibling every year since she was a toddler. She's had a really hard time with bullies at school, and her cousins are best friends. She would happily become with them all in open arms, even if it meant being cramped in one room. The update. My mom and nieces are currently visiting me. We're camping just outside my city, and we seem to have found our compromise. My mom is going to take the year to scrape the money together, what money she can from a down payment to move closer to me. She's also going to ask her doctor about referrals to a doctor in my city. In the meantime, I've offered to take the girls during major school breaks, summer, spring break, and Christmas. The house will still be cramped during those weeks, but we will spend a majority of the time camping in the summer anyway, so the tight quarters aren't for very long periods of time. My husband, I truly don't know what I did to deserve him, has offered to work as much overtime as he's allowed us to help us replenish our savings and hopefully get a bigger place when it's time to renew our mortgage. My work won't allow me to do overtime. My sister found my original post and has been blowing my phone up with nasty texts and voice messages. She even made some wild Facebook posts of what a traitor sister I am. I simply don't have the energy to listen her 2 cents on the matter, so I'm ignoring her on all fronts. We definitely can't take custody anytime soon, but we haven't shut down the possibility of taking them in the future when it makes more sense. I think this possibility is what's keeping my mother cooperative for the time being. This will likely be the last update unless the plan for my mom's move out next year craps out. Thank you to everyone that gave genuine helpful advice and support. Time to go swimming. Opie here is doing the best she can, and it's honestly more than helpful the fact that she's not considering shutting it down immediately. The fact that she's going out of her way to take the girls during major school breaks is a complete step in the right direction. The sister having the audacity telling her that she isn't even doing enough and sending her nasty texts and voice messages shows how immature she is, and there might be a reason she lost the kids. Opie is being extremely kind and extremely helpful here, and I hope the situation gets better. Now, onto the second story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband he cannot be in the delivery room? I, 27F, am 31 weeks pregnant with our second child and currently on modified bed rest because of concerns about preterm labor. We also have a toddler, 3F. Since I am limited physically right now, I told my husband, 29M, I need to take more ownership of the house and follow through on the things he says he will do. I told him I cannot keep carrying the mental load, making detailed lists, and then not being able to trust that things will get done. This turned into a 2-hour screaming fight. He told me I've not cooked and cleaned, quote, in a year, even though the months before the pregnancy included 4 miscarriages and now I'm on bed rest. He said I am too critical of him. He's also mentioned that my job has taken me away from being an involved mother. I work 8 to 5 like everyone else. He was fired from his job 2 weeks ago due to executive function issues on his end, and I'm the sole income earner. This is also not isolated. In another major fight this week, he called me a bitch and told me I make his days miserable. Tried saying it wasn't that bad because calling into questions incompetence was worse. Last night, before bed, he told me to shut the fuck up and get out. Both fights left me sobbing uncontrollably for hours. After the latest fight, I told him he will not be in the delivery room when our son is born. I'm not trying to keep him from meeting his son or being involved as a father, but labor is a vulnerable medical event, and I do not feel emotionally safe enough to endure someone with it who has been recently screaming at me, insulting me, and making me feel unstable when I'm at risk for preterm labor. I feel like the person supporting me during labor should make me feel calm, protected, and safe. Right now, he does not. Am I the a-hole for deciding he cannot be in the delivery room? Edit. I should mention, it's only the household burden he behaves incompetently with. He's super involved and loving with our daughter, like stay-at-home dad energy. And our fights never happen when she is awake, thankfully. At least a small silver lining to the shit show of marriage as of late. OP is definitely not the a-hole here. Her husband is definitely not husband material, and the fact that he screams at her while she is pregnant about stuff that he could easily do is absurd. He's making this situation more stressful than it already is, and it's completely unnecessary. OP seems really miserable, and even if the screaming is after the daughter's asleep, that doesn't make it any better. You should never be screaming at your significant other, and this seems like a big problem. Not only that, he's cussing at her and calling her names. It's completely unokay for anybody to do that to someone. Honestly, I hope OP can get out of this marriage, or they can come to some kind of agreement or go to counseling. Now, onto story number 3. Am I the a-hole for expecting a 19-year-old and a 21-year-old to contribute financially? 5 years ago, my M53 stepdaughter, now 19, started dating a boy who was 16. My wife, F43, allowed him, on occasion, to spend the night. When he wasn't allowed, he'd sneak in, hide in the closet, hide under the bed, or break into vacant apartments near us. He was arrested for trespassing. His home was also 100 miles away. If I'd give in and said he could stay one night, it would turn into 7. My wife has zero ability to tell her daughter what to do. After she graduated high school, she moved into another state, leaving him behind. She told my wife she realized she would never get away from him if she stayed home and he would hold her back. My greatest fear was that he would get her pregnant, he wouldn't be able to take care of her, he didn't graduate high school, and raising the baby would fall on me and my wife. She came back home to get to the rest of her stuff and agreed to meet the guy to give each other their stuff back. She told my wife she kept it strictly professional. She returned to her new home and after a month or 2 returned home. In March, she told us she was pregnant and due in August. We told her they couldn't live with us and he needed to get a job. He said he couldn't get a job in this city without a place to stay, so I gave him 30 days to save up and move out. This deal was for 30 days and I wasn't going to do the dishes or take out the trash. That was 4 months ago. My stepdaughter said they don't have the money because she's paying for a baby shower. The dishes and trash sit for days at a time. They both have jobs and combined at least make $1,000 a week. My wife, who told me they wouldn't be allowed to live here with a baby, has now switched to, I'm not kicking out my daughter and grandbaby. I'm struggling to pay the bills, I work full-time, and I have a small side hustle that pays $300 a month, and I do Instacart on my days off. This week, I used 2 PTO days to do Instacart for rent. I sold my plaza, and I still had to ask parents for help. I suggested that he applies to get a lease, and then each of us contribute $150 a week to a fund for paying rent and bills. My wife immediately rejected that and threatened to take them and move out. She doesn't make enough to cover her expenses without me. Am I the a-hole? OP is not the a-hole here. The wife definitely has the priorities wrong, saying she'll just leave him and move out if he kicks him out. The stepdaughter leaving trash and dishes for days at a time is also not okay. She's also saving for a baby shower when she should be saving to move out. I don't think the priorities are where they're supposed to be. These two seem like leeches, and the wife is not making it any better. In fact, she's enabling them. I find it so unreal that people like this can be entitled to not only take your money, but to trash your house, and rather than saving for a new apartment or a lease, saving for a baby shower. It's completely unnecessary, and it's definitely not worth the funds. Now, on to story number 4. Am I the a-hole for expecting my husband to move a heavy ladder instead of teaching me how to do it? My husband and I got into a big argument over something that seemed small, but it turned into a much larger issue. We were working on a project together and needed to move a large extension ladder. The ladder was heavy, covered in cobwebs, dirt, and old dried out bee nests, and I was physically struggling to move it by myself. For perspective, he's taller and bigger than me and can move the ladder in 2 seconds no problem without needing to touch the cobwebs. I told him that I needed help with the ladder, and instead of moving it, he came over and started explaining how to move it. I tried again and was still struggling. The only way I could get leverage was by climbing underneath the dirty ladder and lifting it from below. At that point, I got frustrated and asked why he wasn't moving the ladder for me when it would have taken him a few seconds. He moved it, but then said something along the lines of, fine, I'll just do everything for you and you can go inside. His explanation afterward was that when I said I needed help, he thought I meant I needed help learning how to move it rather than wanting him to move it for me. He also said that because I'd been doing other parts of the project myself, he thought I wanted to keep doing things independently. My perspective is that your spouse is visibly struggling with something that is physically difficult, and when taking you only a few seconds to do, you should simply step in and help without needing very specific instructions. The argument then turned into a 45-minute discussion about my communication skills. He believes I should have clearly said that, I do not want to move the letter, please move it for me. I believe he should have recognized that I was struggling and offered to take over. Later, he also mentioned that he'd be intentionally using de-escalation techniques during arguments, such as speaking calmly, sitting down instead of standing over me, and trying not to escalate conflict. He said this makes him feel like he can't speak freely. I feel that these are simply healthy ways to communicate during disagreements. So, my question to Reddit, was I expecting too much by wanting him to notice that I was struggling and just help? Or was I wrong for assuming he should have known what I wanted without explicitly saying it? Am I the a-hole? Edit. He had previously been searching de-escalation techniques and help him better at his job, just for everyone wondering why he was previously searching those things. Edit 2. He didn't clarify that he was, quote, confused thinking that I wanted to show how to move it until about 20 minutes into the discussion, and it wasn't framed as an apology, but rather just an explanation. By then, the discussion had already shifted into a broader debate, so it didn't feel like a clear, resolved moment. OP is definitely not the a-hole here, and I find it absurd how the husband thinks explaining something rather than just doing it is okay. When somebody says, hey, can you help me with this? Usually it means they want help, not, can you tell me how to do this? Even if it was that, she could have just said it. And him researching de-escalation techniques for his job and not for his wife is completely absurd. It feels like almost a pride thing that he feels small and can't speak freely when he's doing that. It feels like he wants complete control of situations, and it makes him feel weird when he can't have that. Hopefully OP and her husband can work this out. This is such a big argument for something small. Hello everyone, and good morning, afternoon, or evening. Today we'll be on the Am I Overreacting subreddit reading some insane stories that I found for you guys. Remember, if you enjoyed these videos, please like and subscribe, it really does mean a lot. My goal is to reach 100 subscribers by the end of the year. Now without further ado, let's get into the first story. Am I overreacting? My sister and husband text privately while spending time together. Should I be concerned? My husband and my sister have developed what I think is an unusually close relationship, and I'm trying to figure out if I'm overreacting. My husband travels for work to the area where my sister lives, so they have opportunities to see each other when he's in town. Some examples. They text directly about travel plans, shopping, TV shows, and random family life stuff. My sister's gone shopping one-on-one with him before and bought clothes for him because she remembered his size. She frequently sends me photos of outfits, earrings, dresses, etc., asking for my opinion, but often feels like more she wants validation than advice. Once, she modeled a dress in front of me, my husband, and her husband. Her husband complimented her, but she immediately asked my husband what he thought. She's privately texted my husband asking when he'll be in town and told him when she would be away, seemingly, so he wouldn't visit when she's gone. When my husband mentioned a possible birthday week visit, she got very excited and immediately said she would start looking for reservations. She often seems unusually interested in my husband's reactions to clothes or style choices. My husband says nothing inappropriate has happened and that's all harmless. Am I overreacting, or does this sound like emotional flirtation / blurred boundaries? If you were in my shoes, would this bother you? Am I overreacting? Updated. My sister and husband text privately and spend time together. Should I be concerned? Since my last post, I found out more context that made me feel even less like this was, quote, just one weird moment. I learned from my niece that during the purse shopping trip, my sister encouraged her son to leave and go with his sister, which left my husband and my sister shopping together. My husband then took multiple photos of my sister trying on purses. My niece also later mentioned that the sales associate assumed they were husband and wife. My sister corrected her, but apparently found the whole thing funny and entertaining. I've seen the purse photos now, and they do not feel like quick shopping reference photos. They feel like my husband photographing and my sister modeling. There was also another visit where my husband stayed at my sister and her husband's house. After her husband left, my sister did her hair and makeup, modeled a winter coat, and my husband offered to take photos so that she could see it. Later that night, when she was dressed up for an event with her husband, she sent my husband a photo of herself with no comment attached. Again, any one thing could be possibly explained, but added to the private texting, the skirt saga, the jeans gift, and the dress on top opinions, the way she seems to care about his reaction to what she wears, and the fact that she keeps creating these little moments where he becomes her photographer or appearance judge starts to feel like a pattern I could not unsee. So I talked to my sister first. I told her I needed to discuss something awkward, and I tried to be calm. I said I was uncomfortable with texting, the outfit photos, the shopping, and the way she seems to use my husband as an audience for how she looks. She immediately got very calm, almost too calm. She said, "He's my brother-in-law. We get along. I didn't realize that was a crime now." I told her it was not that they get along, it was how they get along. She asked, "How do we get along?" I said, "You use him as an audience." That was when her tone changed. She gave me this small smile and said, "Or maybe I'm just comfortable in my body and you're uncomfortable watching someone else be comfortable in hers." I told her that was unfair. She said, "Then what exactly was going on? Modeling too aggressively? Wearing leggings at you?" I said, "No, I was trying to set a boundary." She said, "No, you're asking me to shrink so you can feel bigger." That one really hurt. When I brought up the photo she sent him after the coat situation, she said, "I sent a photo in the conversation we were already having." I said, with no comment. She said, "Because I didn't need one." Then she said, "Maybe you can try sending him photos. Maybe you wouldn't be so worried about him looking at mine." I told her that was unnecessary, and she said, "So is accusing your sister trying to tempt your husband because he took a few pictures while shopping?" I asked if she would stop texting him privately about clothes, outfits, shopping, and photos. She said, "Stop what, exactly? Existing around him? Being friendly? Letting him take a photo if I ask? Laughing when something is funny?" I said, "You know what I mean." She said, "No, I don't think you know what you mean." The conversation ended with her saying, "If your issue is with your husband looking, talk to your husband. If your issue is that I look good, that's not mine to fix." That was probably the most painful part, because she made me feel insane and jealous for noticing something that feels real to me. She did not apologize, she did not agree to stop. She basically framed the entire thing as my insecurity and said I was trying to control a normal family relationship because I felt threatened. I walked away feeling worse, not better. And honestly, the conversation left me more confused. So now, should I have a conversation with my husband? What do I say? I thought confronting her with the facts would be easy, but I felt stupid, petty, and jealous. I need a sanity check. The top comment says, "I think I'd be having a conversation with her husband, to be honest. Let's see what he thinks." I completely agree with this top comment. If she feels that OP is being irrational, why doesn't she talk to her husband about it? I feel like OP should talk to her own husband before she goes to her sister's husband. If she can see a different reaction in her husband, then she'll probably know something is wrong. So then, you can just go to your sister's husband and talk to him about it. I feel sorry for OP, and this is a terrible situation to be in, and I would never want to be in a situation like this. I hope OP the best, and I hope everything goes well. Now, onto story number 2. Am I overreacting? Boyfriend left me locked outside of the house until 1 a.m. for 3 hours. Partner dropped me off at my mom's at 1 p.m. He was going to go see his friend and then have lunch and then come back to my mom's so we could spend a little time together. It hits 9 and he still hasn't left. My mom sleeps early. It hits 10 now and he still hasn't left. But I have to leave, so I explained to him, "Look, I have to leave now because my mom needs to lock her door." Bear in mind he lost a set of our keys, so only he has the keys. He says he left and then 10 minutes later messaged me that he's only 44 minutes away, so I get a cab home. I finally get home and call him and he still hasn't left. I live in an extremely rough area. He thinks it's funny and is all laughing on the phone. I lost my shit and I cussed him out. Now it's 12 and he still hasn't left. I'm still waiting outside, so I broke up with him. He's forcing me to send him proof that I'm actually outside, which I am, and I just found that even weirder. My phone's dying, I don't live locally to anyone I know, and it hits 12:40, so I knock on the neighbor's door and ask them if I can climb the garden fence, as I knew that I have a left garden door unlocked and they let me in, thankfully. I pack all my partner's stuff in the bin bags, and he has the nerve to come home at 2 a.m. and call me childish. Then say, it's not like I was cheating, I was just with my friends. My problem isn't that he was with his friends, my problem is that he left me outside alone knowing I was in a bad area for 3 hours, and if I hadn't knocked on the neighbor's door, I would have been outside until 2? Are you for real? And he got upset that I involved the neighbors. Am I being dramatic, or is this not a really bad thing to do someone you claim to love and care for? Because I would never do it. Edit. I just want to thank you all so much for your responses and for taking your time out of the day to respond to me and make my feelings feel validated, as sometimes I can be a moron. In the past, I've been very quick to forgive. I will not go back, and thank you for ensuring I wasn't dramatic. As I was starting to feel maybe I did overreact, but it's clear as day that I didn't, and my 2-year relationship genuinely meant nothing. Thank you again. Last edit. He finally woke up and started to apologize. I told him he didn't even know why he was apologizing, and he went on to say I'm possessive, controlling, and dramatic. That I shouldn't have messaged him that many times or called that many times. I just said whatever, I can't be asked to argue. I'm dramatic, this is why your apologies mean nothing, because you'll apologize and then blame me regardless. But we're finished, so you don't have to worry about me being controlling or possessive anymore. You go your way and I'll go mine. Again, thank you to all of you that responded. I appreciate it more than words can explain. Another update. Apparently, I'm an evil and deranged person. When things don't go my way, I'm someone no one can start a future or family with. This is such a scary situation for OP, and I feel so bad. What if something had happened to OP, but her partner wasn't there to let her in? Let alone lying to her saying he'll leave and never does. Thankfully, her neighbors let her in, and nothing happened to her, but this could have gone so much worse. I'm so glad OP dumped her boyfriend, and I hope she lives a long, happy future. Now, onto story number 3. Am I overreacting for refusing to take care of my husband after an accident that left him disabled? I, 34F, have been married to my husband, Jake, 36M, for 8 years. Until recently, I would describe our marriage as decent, though not perfect. About 3 years ago, Jake was in a serious motorcycle accident. He survived, but he suffered permanent injuries that left him unable to walk without assistance and unable to return to his previous job. It completely changed his life. For the first year of the accident, I did everything I could. I worked full-time, handled the bills, drove him to appointments, helped him with physical therapy, cooked, cleaned, and managed the house. I barely slept and honestly felt like I was drowning, but I loved him and I wanted to support him. The problem wasn't his disability. The problem was how he started treating me. Jake became increasingly angry and bitter. He constantly insulted me over small mistakes, accusing me of not doing enough, and constantly compared me to other spouses he saw online who had supposedly, quote, dedicated their lives to caring for their partners. If I came home tired from work, he'd tell me I was selfish. If dinner was late, he'd complain for hours. If I wanted to spend time with friends, he'd accuse me of abandoning him. I kept telling myself he was struggling emotionally because of the accident. I encouraged therapy, counseling, support, groups, or anything that might help. He refused every option and insisted that I was the problem. Things reached a breaking point last month. I had worked a 10-hour shift and came home exhausted. He demanded that I drive across town to pick up food because he didn't like what I cooked. When I said I was too tired, he threw a plate on the floor and called me useless. For the first time, I snapped. I told him I was his wife, not his servant, and that I couldn't keep sacrificing my physical and mental health while being treated like garbage. The next day, I moved into my sister's guest room and informed him that I would help arrange professional care and continue contributing financially until he figures things out, but I will no longer be his primary caregiver. Now, his family is furious. They say that I'm abandoning a disabled man when he needs me the most, and that marriage means staying no matter what. Some of my friends agree, while others say I've already done more than enough. I don't hate Jake, and I genuinely feel terrible about his situation, but after years of being verbally abused and taken for granted, I simply don't think I can do it anymore. Am I overreacting for refusing to continue taking care of my husband after his accident left him disabled? Top comment says, please take care of yourself. You're getting burnt out and no wonder. Jake is disabled, but he needs to understand that you are not his punching bag. All the family who say you're abandoning him are welcome to come deal with his BS. I wish you well, not overreacting. I completely agree with the top comment. I also agree with OP said. OP mentioned that she has brought up therapy several times, but he shot down the idea. Part of me feels like it is emotional distress, but then the other part of me feels like he knows what he's doing and he knows he'll be called out for it. I hope OP's spouse can come to the realization that he is in the wrong and he should probably get therapy and make this work. It is a very sad and unfortunate situation, and I do feel bad for the spouse. But just because you're in an accident doesn't mean you can change your entire personality and verbally abuse your wife. Now, onto story number 4. Am I overreacting? NP on virtual visit had their children in the room and I reported her. I had a virtual appointment today with an NP at my doctor. I was less than happy to be dealing with this NP again, since they had also done previous visits with me and conveniently couldn't get to the video to work. Called me on the phone instead and sounded like they were driving their car during the appointment. She had no information about me, clearly hadn't read my file, and was distracted. I didn't report them, just left a bad review when the doctor's office asked for feedback, but this time was over the line to me. When she came on the video for the virtual, only her eyes and nose were on camera. I think this is so rude, especially for a medical professional, but didn't say anything. Then I noticed her baby was screaming, which she apologized for. Okay, we all have got lives. It's not professional, but whatever. She once again knew nothing about me and like she never opened my folder at all. Then, halfway through the appointment, her 3- and 4-year-old kids run up and hugs her for a solid 2 minutes. She's not wearing headphones. I was never asked if I was okay with kids being in the room, and although I did not object right away, it's because I only thought it was a baby. I was so taken by surprise I didn't say anything at the time. I called the office and requested to speak to the privacy and complaints officer, but the doctor called me and instead left a voicemail. To be honest, I thought the first appointment was worth reporting, and now this. However, now I'm rethinking things. Am I overreacting? Should I just shut up and forget it? OP is not overreacting here. The NP is being extremely unprofessional. While I understand a lot of people have their own lives, but not showing yourself on camera and only having your phone tilted up and not reading the file on the person you're about to have an appointment with is extremely unprofessional. And for this to have happened before, where she's been on call and sounded like they were driving, is very unprofessional nonetheless. OP should definitely report this person. This is not okay, and it's a level of disrespect that I wouldn't take, especially if I'm paying for a doctor. Hello everyone, and good morning, afternoon, or evening. Today we'll be on the Am I the A-hole subreddit, reading a couple stories that I've gathered for you guys. Please remember, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It really does mean a lot. My goal is to reach 100 subscribers by the end of the year. Without further ado, let's get into the first story. Would I be the a-hole for asking my daughter's boyfriend to stop having dinner with us? My daughter, 21, has been dating this guy, 24, for 2 years. It's fairly serious. He's from Mexico and has been in the US since he was 3 years old. He has a strange phobia of not wanting anyone to see him eat. And it's real. I've literally never seen this kid put a bite of food in his mouth, despite spending a fair amount of time around him. He is thin, but doesn't look unhealthy. The problem is, we will take him out to dinner occasionally for holidays or special occasions. He always orders a full meal, he will cut up the food, push it around on the plate, but not eat any of it. Then after the meal, he will, quote, donate his leftovers to someone else. It's even worse when I make a home-cooked meal and they come to dinner. He does the same thing. Takes a full plate of food, pushes it around, cuts it up, makes it look messed with, but he doesn't eat any of it. Then he will scrape all the food into the trash can afterwards. I'm starting to get enraged by this. He wastes horrendous amounts of food, and I can't stand the money wasted when we buy him expensive restaurant meals that go completely uneaten. It's even caused a few scenes with the waiters asking him what's wrong, do they need to change his order, etc. I've talked to my daughter privately and said, if he doesn't want to eat, that's fine, just tell him to stop taking plates of food and ordering in restaurants. Her response was, but in its culture it's rude for him not to take food. I'm not asking him to do that. But I find it so rude that he's willing to keep wasting our money. Food is not cheap. Would I be the a-hole for just announcing that he's no longer invited to meals? Top comment says, as someone from Mexican descent, I'm pretty sure his own family would have a huge problem with wasting food. It's not a small subject in Mexico where food poverty is real. OP responds, I'm wondering if this is part of it. I know his general life story, but no details. I'm wondering if maybe there was a time he got heavily disciplined for eating too much in times of scarcity, and it scarred him for life. Again, I have no idea, but it makes me sad for him. It also seems contradictory in some ways, though now that he's willing to waste food on a huge scale if this is, in fact, what happened. I just don't know. If this commenter is correct, and it's from Mexican descent, there's a chance that something happened when he was growing up, but even then he shouldn't be wasting extreme amounts of food. And for OP's daughter to say that she won't tell him because it's considered rude, is completely inconsiderate for the fact OP's wasting so much money on food for him. He's not even gonna eat it, especially at restaurants. He should at least be a little considerate and at least order a little bit, or just not order at all. Now, onto story number 2. Am I the a-hole for getting an extra order of fries for my girlfriend? I feel like I'm going absolutely crazy for being this an argument, and I need someone to objectively tell me if I fucked up. My girlfriend is a french fry bandit. She always takes half my french fries without fail, and when we go out, I get a burger with fries. I already know half are going to her. My issue is that french fries are my favorite foods because I have the palate of a child. I always get myself a side of fries, and I always ask my girlfriend if she wants fries as well. It's always a no, but once they show up, half go to her. So recently, we were gonna go out for dinner, and I wanted steak fries, and she wanted a salad. I was hungry, and admittedly, I had a bad day and was grouchy. I asked her if she also wanted to order fries with her salad, and she said no. So when the server came, I ordered for us, and I ordered my steak fries and the salad for her and an extra side of fries. She said that she didn't want fries, and I said that I wanted extra fries, so we pushed it on. When the server dropped off the food, I immediately pushed the extra fries to her. She was upset. She then said she didn't want them. Then I said I'd have them. As we got in the car, she told me I was being a dick for ordering fries for her when she said she didn't want them, and it was incredibly condescending to me to assume I know what she wants. The kicker is, she ate the extra fries. She wanted the extra fries. I ate my fries, and she pretty much ate the entire side, even though I was planning on eating them. She's been with me for a year, and of course I know she's gonna eat the fries. She does it every time. She's been pissed about it, and I'm feeling like I'm taking crazy pills, and it's why I'm the a-hole here. Top comment says, eating disorder type behavior. If she didn't order it, or didn't eat the whole serving, then it doesn't count. It's bullshit. She needs to own up to being a french fry thief. I personally think it's kind of cute that he ordered fries for her. I don't know much about eating disorders, but this could consider a type of eating disorder. She might be embarrassed that she's getting a little bit of extra fries, or maybe she's eating too much. She could feel a little self-conscious about that. Either way, I hope OP and his girlfriend can get through this. And it was actually really sweet of him to order her extra fries. It was very considerate. Now, on to story number 3. Am I the a-hole for bringing my daughter's friends home with us, despite my daughter not wanting her friend there? I have 4 kids, 3, 7, 9, and 16. My 16-year-old is level 1 autistic. Yesterday, her friend Ellie invited her over. Ellie does not bring her friends to her house because her family is difficult, but her family plans had to be out that day, which is the only reason Ellie invited my daughter over. My daughter called me at 9 telling me to come get her. She couldn't say what's going on, just that she needed to go home. I get there and I'm able to hear yelling and door slamming from the street. Ellie explains that her family got home early. Her dad was drunk and something made him upset. Her keys were in the kitchen, so she couldn't get them to drive herself, and my daughter back to my house. I got my daughter in the car and asked Ellie to come with us so we can figure out somewhere for her to go. She asked us to wait a few minutes, went around towards the back of the house, and came back in maybe 5 minutes with a packed bag. While Ellie was in the house, my daughter was asking me to just go because she didn't want to be around people. I tried to explain that the house was not safe for Ellie, but that she would not have to interact with her if she didn't want to. At the house, I got my daughter settled in her room, talked to Ellie about everything that happened, and we called a few other friends to see if anybody could pick her up. Nobody was able to let her stay the night, so I set her in my 3-year-old's room, and my 3-year-old had to stay with me. Ellie left after breakfast, saying things have calmed out at her house. My daughter wouldn't leave her room until Ellie left, and is still upset at me for bringing Ellie here when she didn't want people in her house. She's also very emotional today, and is only willing to eat 2 things, and will only drink from 1 cup, so I know she's really stressed out about this whole thing. Now, I'm wondering if I'm wrong for bringing Ellie over when my daughter asked me not to. OP is definitely not the a-hole here. OP noticed that Ellie was in a very dangerous situation, and while her daughter might have been uncomfortable, Ellie was in a very dangerous situation. Something could have happened that night if she stayed there. In this situation, it's always safety over comfort, and I'm really glad Ellie got out safe. Now, onto story number 4. Am I the a-hole for refusing to propose after finding out my girlfriend had already picked and paid for her own engagement ring without telling me? My girlfriend, 27 female, and I, 29 male, had been together for 4 years. We've talked a lot about marriage, and I made it clear that I wanted to propose sometime this year. I just wanted it to be a surprise. Last month, we were at the mall when she casually told me she needed to stop by the jewelry store for, quote, something. While we were there, one of the employees smiled at her and said, "Your ring will be ready next week." I looked at her completely confused. She admitted she already picked out an engagement ring she wanted months ago and had been making payments on it. She said she didn't trust me to choose something she'd like, so she decided to handle all that part herself. All I had to do, according to her, was pick it up, finish the last payment, and use it when I proposed. I was honestly hurt. It wasn't about the money. It was the fact she'd planned the entire thing without including me, then expected me to pretend like the proposal was my idea. When I told her I felt she'd taken away one of the few parts of the proposal that was supposed to come from me, she said I was making it about my ego. She argued that lots of women choose their own rings, and she was just making sure she'd wear something she'd love forever. I said I had no problem ring shopping together if that's what she wanted. What bothered me was that she made the decision on her own, kept it a secret, and then expected me to go along with a proposal that no longer felt genuine to me. She got upset and told her family I was refusing to propose to her over, quote, a piece of jewelry. Now, her parents think I'm looking for excuses because I'm afraid of commitment. My family says the issue isn't the ring, it's that we weren't acting like partners when making such a big decision. I've told her I still want to get married someday, but only after we've worked through this and are generally making major life decisions together. Now, she's questioning the entire relationship, and I'm wondering if I made a big deal out of it. TLDR, I planned to surprise my girlfriend with a proposal, but I found she's secretly chosen, ordered, and started planning for her own engagement ring without telling me. She expected me to simply pick it up and propose with it. I told her I wasn't comfortable with doing that, and now she says I'm ruining her future over her ring. Am I the a-hole? OP is definitely not the a-hole here. He wanted to do the proposal by the book, picking out her ring, proposing as a surprise, etc. But she completely took that first part away from him, ordering the ring on her own and in secret. Now it's different if they went ring shopping together. That's what partners do, and that's what they're supposed to do. But the fact she did everything on her own and kept it away from OP is very inconsiderate, and I don't blame OP for feeling like she took something away from him. Now, on to story number 5. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my brother back the birthday gift he gave me after his girlfriend got mad? My brother gave me an espresso machine for my birthday. Not like a tiny cheap one, it was a good one that he said he never used anyway because he mostly buys coffee outside. I was pretty excited because I've been wanting one. He told me it'd been just sitting and boxed up in their storage closet since I moved apartments, so I didn't think anything weird of it. A week later, him and his girlfriend came over for dinner. We were all in the kitchen after eating and she noticed it on my counter. She got quiet and asked if there was an espresso machine. I said yeah. My brother gave it to me for my birthday. She said she had bought it for their apartment and it wasn't his to give away. I looked at my brother and he immediately got awkward. Later, after playing some steak, I texted him asking if he actually owned it. He said it was complicated but she barely used it and he thought she wouldn't care. Then he asked if I could just give it back so I didn't have to deal with the fight. I said no, because now I'm involved in something I didn't ask to be involved in. And if he gave away something that wasn't his, he needs to replace it for her. He said I'm making his relationship worse over a coffee machine and that the family should be more understanding. His girlfriend also mentioned me saying she doesn't blame me but she wants it back. I feel bad for her, but I also feel like returning it just lets him make this my problem. Am I the a-hole for keeping the gift? Honestly, I wouldn't say OP's the a-hole in this situation, but I do think it's a little rude how she's keeping a gift that was stolen. I would honestly just give it back to the girlfriend and point out to the brother that it wasn't okay for that. It's the girlfriend and the boyfriend's problem to deal with, and she clearly does want to be in the middle of it if she's going to keep this over something. It doesn't matter how much OP likes the gift. It is stolen and it is the girlfriend's. Hopefully OP can resolve this issue, and I hope the boyfriend and girlfriend can make up. Now, onto story number 5. Am I the a-hole for airing out someone who mooched off of our wedding? My husband and I were married 5/24/26, or May 24th, 2026. I found out recently his cousin signed their marriage license at our reception. His cousin had been engaged for 10 years. Her and her fiance have 2 kids together in elementary school, and they live with his mother. His mother got remarried at the beginning of May, and my husband and I were married at the end. My mother-in-law explained that they were probably feeling left out and decided to finally tie the knot after 10 years of being engaged. They decided to bring their marriage license to our wedding and convinced another family member, who is ordained, to sign it during the reception. They didn't tell anyone else or, quote, make a scene, but they were able to eat, drink, and celebrate on our dime. Thankfully, we only see them during Christmas, but I'm debating on confronting her because they disrespected our marriage by mooching off our wedding day. The amount of time, energy, and money we put into that special day feels tainted, and she never brought a gift to my bridal shower or our wedding, not even an empty card saying congratulations. Is it better to just let it go and act like we never knew to avoid family drama with someone I barely know/see? What would you do? I personally don't think there's any a-holes in this situation. Considering the fact that husband's cousin didn't tell anybody and make a scene out of it, it feels completely unnecessary to, quote, air them out. Honestly, I would just let it go. OP is definitely in the right, feeling like she mooshed off of them. But at the same time, you don't know their financial situation. What if the reason they never got officially married is because they didn't have enough money? This might have been their chance to do that and still have a good time. Either way, there are no a-holes here, but I do hope this resolves itself. That comes to the conclusion of today's stories. I am sorry for the little shorter video today, but remember, if you enjoy, please like and subscribe. It means so much. My goal is to reach 100 subscribers by the end of the year. It'd mean a lot if you could support me. I hope everybody has an amazing rest of their day or night. Bye bye!